Okay. Welcome back to the weekly baseball rundown. I am here with these guys here. It's been a few weeks for me, but a lot has happened in baseball. So we're more than welcome to hear about it from these guys here. As always, I am with Jesse. I am with Josh. I'm with Kurt. And I'm with Brandon. So we got all these wonderful people. And yes, I see the Let's Go Pope. I think that's fantastic that the Pope's a White Sox fan after all.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in other news, let's get started with what we have for baseball. I'll lead off with Jesse, then I'll follow it up with Josh, then Kurt, and then Brandon, as always. Jesse, go ahead.
All right, the Astros have lost their pitcher, Ronel Blanco, and he's on the 15-day injured list with inflammation in his right elbow. The move, which is retroactive to Tuesday, comes as the starter seeks a second opinion on his injury. He wants to go and get a second opinion, manager Joe Espada said. So once he gets the second opinion and we have more clarity on the injury, we'll report something back. Espada added that Blanco is scheduled to get the second opinion sometime next week. Blanco joins a long list of starting pitchers on the injured list for the Astros. Right-hander Hayden Wesneski, who has been out since May, is set to have season-ending Tommy John surgery. And right-hander Spencer Argetti has been out since April after breaking his right thumb in a batting practice mishap. Ouch. They are without right-handers Luis Garcia and Christian Javier, who are both still recovering from Tommy John surgery. The 31-year-old Blanco is 3-4 with a 4.10 ERA in 9 starts this season. Houston recalled left-hander Colton Gordon from AAA Sugarland to take his spot on the roster. And right now, the Astros are beating the Mariners. Um, let's see, 5-3, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah. Wait, no. It's 6-2 now. My bad. Yeah, 6-2. Bottom of the fifth. We only won one game in the last series against the Rays, which was 4-3. But the last game yesterday, the Astros lost 8-4. So the Astros are right now in second place. The Rangers are in third place with the Mariners on top of the AL West. So
The
that's
Astros are going to need those arms in the battle of the Wild Wild West once again.
yep.
And I know we're talking about the West, but we're going to head up to the Central Division now with the Chicago Cubs.
Well, let's see. Lot of Cubs news. We're still first in the NL Central, and we're, I believe, 9 games above 500 when I checked this morning. So we're sitting pretty good. We've had a lot of roster moves. We had Moises Ballesteros up from AAA that was filling in for Ian Happ. Ian Happ is now back with us, so he's back where he should be in left field. Thank you. And we had one of our local boys, and I can't remember his name for the life of me now. I had it and I lost it. He was designated for assignment. He was playing third base and kind of all over the field and filling in for some people that were also on injury. We're still waiting to hear about Shota Imanaga. He is well past the 15-day DL. We're hoping he'll come back soon because we need him. And one of our closers, Porter Hodge, is now having some issues. They haven't said what yet, but I'm waiting to hear that report. For the series we just had, we played the White Sox in the first half of the Crosstown Classic, the 3 games at Wrigley, and they won all 3. Pete Crow Armstrong is still doing Pete Crow Armstrong things, and I'm hoping the Cubs will come up with a better offer for him because they kind of lowballed him earlier in the season for a contract extension because he's just absolutely amazing. We just got done with the Florida Mariners, or Marlins, or whatever they're called now. Mariners, I think, or Marlins, Florida Marlins. Lost the first game. I was not too impressed with that. They kind of had, they were making, I don't want to say rookie mistakes, but there were mistakes made. but they came back in the second game in this series, beat them 14-1. It was a football score. I kind of got bored with it towards the end. It's like everybody was getting a hit, which was good to see. And then we closed out the last game of the series, which took the longest because it was a 1-1 tie right up until the 8th inning. So, I mean, and we lost one game, but we won the series. So now it's on to Cincinnati, and we'll see what we can do there. And I felt bad for poor Brandon with the White Sox because the White Sox have good players, and they just weren't producing.
No, not at all. They outmatched us in every aspect.
And I gotta say,
the first game was 14-3.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I kind of root for both teams because Chicago's Chicago. But I feel bad for you, and that's all I got.
Yeah, and as far as the Central is concerned, it's looking like the Cubbies have a handle on it. But as I was listening to you talk, the Pirates are currently in a rain delay, it looks like. They're actually trying to avoid a Major League record, which was set back many, many years ago, where they'd be the first team in MLB history to score 4 runs or less in 27 straight games.
You're kidding. I did not even know that.
No, I've been following that, actually, and it's a record that stretches back way, way back to the early 1900s, late 1890s. That's how long it's been. I saw it on the
Talking Baseball X account today.
It just blew my mind that you want to talk about offensive utility, you're getting there. All right, Kurt, you're up with the Mets. Go right ahead.
Okay, thanks. And it's not a great week for the Mets. They went 2-4 the past 7 days, losing 2 out of 3 to both the crosstown Yankees and also to the let's see, who they played the most recently. Well, the Red Sox. So not a particularly good week for the Mets, unfortunately. And I've been looking at what's been going on with them. To be honest with you, they're not hitting. Their team OPS for the season is 736, but last 14 days is down to 686, and the last 7 days 558. You can't, and they scored 13 runs in those 6 games. Can't win without those kind of numbers. Pitching actually has been holding up for the most part for the year. Their team ERA for the entire season, if I'm not mistaken, 2.86. Last 14 days, 2.94. Last 7 days, 3.24. So that's okay. One of the problems is Pete Alonso has fallen back to earth after his spectacular start to the first month of the season. His OPS has almost dropped by half, 1.132 in April and March, 629 in May. Most of the other Mets are not doing particularly well. I will say that some of the blame is being placed on Juan Soto. He's been doing okay. Not so great in the past week, but for the month, 893 OPS, up from 752 in April. He'll be fine. He's also leading among the team leaders in WAR, wins above replacement, at 1.7. So we'll just have to see what happens. What's going to happen over the next week, they've got a long homestand coming up, which is going to be great. 3 against the Dodgers, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they have a pretty good break in the schedule. They're going to be playing the 2 worst teams in Major League Baseball. They have the White Sox for 3 games, and they have the Rockies for 3 games. So that's a good way to break out of your slump.
Yeah, well, the Mets are still doing some good things. I have one thing about Soto, and I talked to Jesse about this previously. He's going to earn his paycheck one way or the other, but that at bat he had against Garrett Crochet where he took 3 pitches, and I was watching MLB Network earlier, and Harold Reynolds was trying to explain it. Juan Soto is the richest man in baseball right now. If he's willing to take those 3 pitches right down the heart of the plate almost, and then jog watch a ball off the monster and left, and they have to talk to him about hustling, that's a big one for me. But
I would hope Carlos Mendoza took care of that. That was not a great look for them. Right now, though, the important thing is they have dropped to second place. The Phillies are red hot. They've won 7 in a row. They are now at 32-18, which is the second best record in Major League Baseball behind the Tigers. Plus, the Braves get Ronald Acuna Jr. back this weekend. So they are the Braves are back under 500. They are at 24 and 25, but they're not out of it by a long shot. We're still only about at the 1/3 mark of the season. So there's a lot of games left to be played, and nobody's guaranteed anything at this point.
That's why this game is so special, and I know the Mets will come back and do something eventually. I know they'll be in the middle of it, and you're exactly right there, Kurt. Brandon, I do have something for you. The White Sox they've got twice as many wins as the worst team in baseball right now, so I'm sure that's more of a pick-me-up than a fall down. I'd love to hear what you got to say about the team.
I never in my life thought that any team would be worse than what the Sox were last year, but the Rockies just so happened to be doing that. And I think the losing is going to continue. I know they're going to be playing the Cubs on Memorial Day weekend, and then they go and play Kurt's Mets. And Kurt, I was just going to say, if there's any team to get right again, it's the White Sox. And you got the White Sox and the Rockies back-to-back on this long homestand, so have fun with that. So the Sox are coming off a 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners. We ended up winning one of those games in a 1-0 shutout on Tuesday, I should say. Wednesday we lost 6-5, and then on Monday we lost 5-1. We had the day off today, but we have another 3 games at home against the Rangers starting tomorrow, meaning that we will be wearing our City Connects tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to seeing. And we'll see what we can do against the Rangers. And tomorrow, Tyler Mahle will be pitching for the Rangers. And, I've been very impressed with how the Rangers have been pitching with an old rotation. You have soon-to-be 37-year-old Jacob deGrom. You have 35-year-old Nathan Eovaldi. You have Tyler Mahle. You have other people in their bullpen and their starting rotation. But they're getting it done, and right now they're a game under 500, but I do think the offense will pick it up for them. And Sean Burke we have going for the Sox tomorrow, 2-5 record, 4.69 ERA, but hopefully he'll pick up some wins depending on his matchups. But we got 3 against the Rangers, and then we're off on Sunday before we play the Mets for 3 starting on Memorial Day. And then we got 3 against the very disappointing Baltimore Orioles, in which we only have 1 less win than the Orioles do now, who just fired their manager. But I will say that the pitching has definitely made more progress than I thought they would this season. And again, there's no other place to go but up. So we'll see what the Sox can do this weekend and beyond.
That's great stuff there, Brandon. So while I was listening, I did go to Baseball Reference and look back and just see how futile, because they got more wins now through 50 games than they did last season. Actually, they have the exact same record as they did last season through 50 games, but they seem to be a lot better because the Pythagorean has them at 18 and 32. But looking at the Rockies. And I could talk about the 62 Mets, but the 62 Mets were the 62 Mets. That they didn't play 2 games. People forget. So they could have been a lot worse. But the Rockies have one of the higher payrolls in baseball, and they are 34 games under 500. You have to go all the way back to the 1870s and the 1890s for futility such as that. There's been 4 other teams that have been somewhere in the vicinity of 8-42 or 8-43. And they were the Red Stockings and the Louisville Colonials who managed to do it twice in the span of 6 years. They were 8-42 and 8-40. Let me get that right. I think it was 8-42 and 8-44 through that. So they managed to have only 8 wins twice. Colorado could turn it around, but I'm not too sure. I do have some questions here for you guys. Your favorite MLB stadium that's not your own team. Your favorite MLB stadium. And I'll start with Kurt, and then I'll go to my immediate left.
I've been very lucky. I'm out here in the Midwest. I have gotten a chance to travel to a bunch of different stadiums over the years. A friend of mine and I have, for a number of years, made a point of making a pilgrimage to a different stadium every year as we could. So we've gone almost every place that's a reasonable drive. I loved, of all the stadiums I've been to, PNC Park in Pittsburgh. I just think it is absolutely gorgeous. It's unfortunate that the Pirates ownership does not support the team, but if you go there, the upper deck, those bridges at night, it is absolutely beautiful. Walking on the strip and restaurants before the game, there's just so many options there because it's downtown. And the Pirates fans are amazingly supportive. I hope that people go out and support the team and go see a few games if they can.
And I agree with you. Pittsburgh has a wonderful ballpark. It's very, very beautiful. Go ahead, Brandon.
Well, actually, I'm going to be visiting PNC Park for the very first time at the end of June, which I'm very excited for. And we're more than likely going to be seeing a game against the New York Mets. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see that. I'm very excited to see PNC. But I've been to 6 stadiums so far, and of the 6, I have to say Kauffman Stadium was my favorite in Kansas City. I liked it slightly more than Busch, especially for the fountains that they have in right center field that go off every time a Royals player hits a home run. That's been really, really cool to see. But one that I definitely want to try to make it out to is Oracle Park in San Francisco, home of the Giants. From all the shots I've seen on TV, that stadium looks absolutely beautiful. And to be able to see a game there would be really nice. And ideally, I'd like to sit out in right field by McCovey Cove. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Let's hear yours. So other than Houston and other than Texas, okay?
I would
Favorite
love to try and go to see what it's like at Wrigley Field. So much history there. And maybe the Fenway Park, just to see the big green monster.
Those are two that I've really wanted to go to because 113 years old is Fenway Park. It was built about a week after, I think it was a week after or a week before the Titanic went down. So that's a lot of history there. Ted Williams, David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, and then you got Ernie Banks, Ron Santo. You got all those guys over in Chicago. And now, Josh, not Chicago,
Yes,
but your favorite MLB stadium, okay?
Well, to piggyback on what these guys said, PNC Park is on the top of my list because when you watch a player hit a home run into the Allegheny River is awesome. And I've been outside Cincinnati Reds Stadium. I've never been in it, but I'd like to hit Cincinnati Reds, Milwaukee Brewers, maybe even Arizona Diamondbacks, just because they have a pool. And I'd love to see what it's like being in a baseball game where you have a pool.
A lot of great ones here because when I think about stadiums, I think about the one, and David, don't you dare bleep me when I say this because this one's going to make David a little angry. But the house that Ruth built, the original Yankee Stadium, that was my dream. Unfortunately, they tore it down when I was only 13, and now it's just a field for the last 17 years. But I've heard that, and it's always, imagine if these walls could talk, like places like Shea Stadium, the original Comiskey Park, the Astrodome, including the stadium that's still in Texas right now. Not Globe Life Park, but Arlington, the ballpark.
Rangers Ballpark in Arlington.
Yeah, that one, because they got their own all-star game, but the only problem with that I have with that is Texas, too hot.
Yeah, definitely. You're correct on that, Joey. It's hotter than hell out here.
Well, I wouldn't say hell, but it's pronunciation.
Yeah.
Okay. My last question for you guys is this. There's one homeless team and one with an owner that doesn't know how to take care of his team. Tampa Bay. Where is Tampa Bay going to move to if they can't get their stadium fixed up in Tampa Bay. I'll start off with Jesse this time. Where do you think Tampa is going to end up? The Rays. Where do you think they're going to move to?
I would love for them to come here in San Antonio, but we don't have a stadium for them. We have arenas. But I think somewhere in Florida, somewhere that's not gonna call some place that's not gonna have a natural catastrophe. There's a lot of cities that could use, a baseball team, maybe, or another country like Montreal.
And that's actually funny you say that, because years ago, what they were planning was they were going to split between Tampa Bay and Montreal, because Montreal played in Puerto Rico for part of their season back in 2003 and 2004. Josh, where do you think Tampa Bay is going to end up moving to if they do?
Honestly, I don't have a really good answer to that, because I would say Orlando, but you can't really put them in Orlando, because then you risk running into Mickey Mouse and disrupting all of that. And there are so many other good cities they could go to, but I really don't know where they're going to land. It's like taking the A's out of Oakland. They never should have done that.
Yeah, and they've had too many issues with their stadium problems anyways. I would go Brandon next, but I'm going to leave him for the last one because I know he's going to have a good answer for this. Kurt, I'm going to ask you the same question. Where do you think Tampa Bay is going to end up moving to if they do leave that area?
I've always supported Orlando as well, because Orlando is not all that far from Tampa. That would be one of the ways that the Tampa base, and I'm sure there's a certain amount of solid fan base there, would still be able to travel. Maybe an hour and a half. We'll put the team out just outside of Orlando, not too close to Disney World, and they'd still be able to go see games. So maybe a combination of the two. Other than that, let me throw some other major metropolitan areas that do not have a Major League Baseball team out at this time. Maybe a third team in Texas. San Antonio is a major metropolitan area, along with, let's say, the Portland, Oregon area. And let's throw in one more, Austin, Texas as well. So there are some possibilities there.
They were talking about Nashville being a potential expansion team within the next couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no teams near Tennessee that I know of besides the Tennessee Titans.
Right.
But
Charlotte, North Carolina would be another good place as well.
And yeah, bring back the Boston. David, get out of here.
Bring back the Boston Braves.
Well, Boston's had 3 different franchises as far as I know, and they've had 2 for Milwaukee. So, but last but not least, I'm going to ask a man who's from that area, who knows a lot about the geographical differences. But Brandon, where do you think Tampa should move to, just in particular? Because I've heard a lot of good conversation about this from these guys. I'd love to hear your insight too.
Well, originally I was going to say Montreal as well, and we just did talk about the rumor mill about Nashville possibly getting an expansion team. That's been rumored on and off really for the last 5 years. Let's just be real. But that's my answer. My answer is definitely Nashville. One, you already have an existing team, so it would cut away a lot of the ins and outs of getting an expansion team, doing an expansion draft, doing all that. You don't have to do that when you already have an established franchise, and you just move them up to Nashville, and the weather is great there in the summer, and there is a demand for another team, another sports team in that city. You got the Titans, you got the Predators, and now you add the Tampa Bay Rays, or the Nashville Rays, if they do decide to move there. I think that would be great for the city, and I think it would actually draw, and people would be interested in going to games, especially when a really good team is coming, like the Dodgers or the Yankees, who are obviously in their division. But I really, really like the idea of having that team in Nashville.
The way I see it is this. You guys have all made very good cases for different areas. Where I think Tampa should move to, instead of having an expansion team, they take Tampa Bay, and they take the team that's in Tampa. You got the Nashville Sounds, which I'm surprised nobody remembers. The Nashville Sounds are a AAA team that was a AAA team for the A's and for the Brewers. So why not take that team? You take the Nashville Sounds, you take the Tampa Bay Rays. You don't make them you keep them as the Nashville Sounds or the Nashville Stars. You integrate Nashville being the rock and roll capital, I believe. But you want it there. You want that. You want everything like that coming together. You go to Nashville, whether it's the Rays or the expansion team, and that's how you get yourself some good baseball right there. I agree with all your guys' insight, and I appreciate you guys coming on again. I'm sorry I wasn't here the last couple of weeks, but thank you guys again. Wonderful talking to you all on this weekly baseball rundown. From myself and from the other guys who are always very kind and very intelligent. Let's have another wonderful week, and I hope your sports teams do very well for you. Good night, everybody, and bye-bye.
Take care.